Okay, I'm going to bring you through the steps on how to make a 9-step value scale. All right, you're going to start with, in your sketchbook, you're going to start with a ruler and an HB pencil. Okay, and you're going to begin by laying your ruler parallel to the side of the paper, and make sure that you have at least 9 inches of the ruler within the page. Okay, so I'm going to take those one side of the ruler. I'm going to go to the 9, and I'm just going to draw a straight line to the end of the ruler. And then I'm actually going to trace the edge of the ruler. Okay. Now I'm going to flip the ruler around the other way. I'm going to take the 9 and put it so that the mark for the 9 is even with the end of the bar that I just created. And line it up. And I'm just going to trace this side of the ruler. And then, okay, so that will give you a bar that's 9 inches long. Now I'm going to separate it into 9 1-inch blocks. To do that, I'm going to take my ruler on the top edge, and I'll make a mark at every 1-inch increment. Just a tiny little tick mark is all you need. Okay, do the same thing on the bottom line. Just make a mark at every 1-inch increment. Okay, now you're simply going to connect your tick marks that you created. And try to do this on the light side, don't do it really dark. You should be using a B pencil, an HB pencil, so it shouldn't be too dark. Nice light pressure, because your lighter values, you want to be able to bring your value all the way up to the edge. Okay, so there you have it. A nice even 9-inch bar for your value chart. We're going to label this HB because that's the pencil that we're going to use to create these values. Now, I would like you to label your white with a W. This is your white end. Your B for your black side. And then mid-gray. Mid-gray, or 50%. Okay? So that's going to be your midterm. All right? Now, what you want to start by doing is create your blackest black that you could possibly get with your HB pencil in this square here. So I'm going to stop recording for a minute. I'll fill that in, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, I filled in the darkest black that I can get with an HB pencil on the in the square that's furthest to the right. I'm just cleaning that up a little bit, and you'll notice that it's got smooth, even black tone, or the darkest gray you could possibly get. Okay, the idea is to get that square filled in with the most amount of pressure and with the evenest coverage. Okay, so you don't want to see a lot of texture, just nice, smooth, even coverage. All right, now I'm going to gradually get lighter as I move toward white. So when I do my next block, I'm going to show you a little hint on how to actually fill in the value without making a jagged edge. So we're going to cheat a little bit. We're going to use a scrap piece of paper. I just have a note, a sticky note, or even any kind of scrap paper will do. I'm just going to lay that scrap paper right along my edge because I don't want this value to move into this block. I want a nice clean edge when I finish So I'm going to shade in horizontally, and I'm going to leave this one open so I can see how dark that is. I don't want to get as dark as this square, but I want to be close. So I'm just going to fill in, and I'm going to just go horizontally right now, and you notice how the edge of the paper actually stops my pencil from going into the next block. So I'm filling in, nice even tone, and I'm going to build up my layers. Notice I'm holding my pencil on an angle, so I have nice even tone, being careful not to get as dark as this block. So I'm evenly going over the area. And even though I'm going in the same direction, there's actually no texture. It's a nice smooth surface. And you want to go pretty dark because you still have 7 steps after this one, so you need to get lighter as you go along, and we want to ultimately end up with white. Okay, so there should just be a slight lighter variation of the black in this block. But you notice by leaving that paper on the edge of that next block, it gave me a nice crisp edge, and then you just have to make sure that you don't go over the lines here. All right, so the next block, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to hold the piece of paper at the edge, and I'm actually allowing the line to be visible because I want to cover that up. I don't want a dark line in between each one of my values. And now I'm just looking at this value here, and I'm going to fill in this value of the next block so that it's almost as dark as this one, but not the same value. The value needs to be slightly lighter. So that's too light. There's too big of a jump between the two. Let me clean that up a little bit. So I'm going to continue to add layers. Side of my pencil. Just gradually build it up until it's almost as dark as this one, but not quite as dark. Can't be the same, because if it was the same, you wouldn't see the separation between the two values. So you want to make sure that it's almost as dark, but just slightly lighter. Okay? So I've got a nice gradation going so far. All right, the next value. Same thing, I'm showing a little bit of the line so that I can cover that up. I don't want my lines visible in the end. And very, very smoothly with the side of my pencil, apply the graphite. Nice even pressure. You want to make sure you don't leave really big gaps in between your values. I'll show you in the next one what I mean. But again, I'm building up that value, darkening it until it's just slightly lighter than the previous block. Okay, a nice subtle difference in value or contrast in value. Okay, and then we're going to go with your middle gray. Okay, and this should be about 50% gray, and it looks like we're on a good track here. And this 50% gray, just be slightly lighter than this last block we did. Now you don't want to leave any big gaps, okay? And don't move your pencil too fast. You notice my pencil is going back and forth, but it's staying in the same area until I get even coverage. And if I miss a spot, I go back. Or if I make a spot too dark, like you're seeing here, I go back over and even that out. Nice, light, even coverage. If you go out of the lines, go back in and erase it so it's nice and even. Okay, neatness counts in this, okay? Just like all your other drawings. You need to be neat with everything. Okay, just slightly lighter than the block before. Okay, now it's going to get a little tricky. All right, we only have 3 values left here, so we have to start getting lighter. All right, again, I'm leaving just a hint of that line so that when I shade it in, it actually covers up that line. I don't want that line to be visible. We're trying to create edges here. That's a really nice edge that you're seeing, so there's no line outlining it. That's what you want to do when you're shading your artwork. You want to make sure that you create edges and not outlines. That'll make your work look more realistic. Now I'm being careful to give myself nice even coverage here. You notice I don't need a blending stump. I'm doing all the blending with the tip of the pencil. And that's a little bit too much of a jump, so I'm just going to give it one more layer of graphite. Okay, and there we go. Okay, so a little bit lighter, and we're going to get even lighter here. Nice even coverage. Okay, and the last one we do is going to be the lightest that we can get. Okay. Again, going back and forth, nice and light. Okay, so we have a subtle gradation. Okay, and there you have it. You have a 9-step value chart from black to white using your HB pencil. Now you're going to continue. You'll have a total of 3 bars when you're finished. So I'm going to stop recording, but you'll create 3 bars in the same manner that you created this bar, 9 inches long. So it's 9 inches from here to there, and it's 1 inch thick from top to bottom. All right, and each one of these blocks should be 1 inch wide. All right, I'll finish up my last 2 value charts, and then you'll see the finished product. Okay, I've created my second bar, and I've labeled the second bar with the letter B, and I'm using my 4B pencil. You can use any of your B pencils. It could be your 2B, your regular B, 6B, even a 9B. It doesn't matter as long as this next value chart has, or scale has, is being used with a B pencil or being created with a B pencil. Okay, so I'm going to start the same exact way. I'm going to create the blackest value that I can get with a B pencil, and then I'm going to gradually get to white. So I'll do that and get back to you in a minute. Okay, I've started my B pencil value chart, and this is actually, again, a 4B pencil that I'm using. And you'll notice already that the values are slightly darker. The darkest black that I can get is much creamier and a much richer black than the one that I have in the HB scale. So I'm doing the same technique. I'm using my scrap piece of paper at the edge so that I have a nice sharp edge between the blocks. And I'm just carefully and evenly filling in that value so that I have nice, even, smooth coverage. I'll do one more here, and you can see how the application, it takes less layers to actually fill in with those darker values, because the graphite that we're using is actually a softer graphite, and you'll feel it's a little bit creamier, a little bit butterier, more buttery, and it actually lays down quickly with less effort. All right, nice even coverage. Okay, again, I'm going to go to the next one, and your mid-gray is 50%. Again, white and black. Okay, we'll do the next value. Nice even tone. Be careful not to go as dark as the block before. But there still needs to be a difference in value between the two. All right, I'll finish this up and get back to you in a minute. Okay, so there you have it. A finished value scale with a 4B pencil, which all the values look slightly darker than the value scale that was created with the HB pencil. So you're going to continue one final value scale at the bottom of the page, and this one's going to be created using an H pencil, which is your harder graphite, which will create a much lighter value. So I'll get started on the bar and I'll get right back to you. Okay, so now I've drawn my third value scale bar, and I've chosen a 2H pencil. All right, and I'm going to complete the same process, starting with my black, labeling my mid-gray, which is 50%, and then my white, which we'll leave untouched. Okay, and again, you're going to fill it in using the maximum amount of pressure. And when you use the H pencil, you're probably going to have the most difficulty because it's the hardest graphite, and so you're going to have to press a lot harder, and you'll never get this H pencil to create a black as rich as your B or even your HB. If you're finding that the pencil is indenting your paper because there's padding underneath of it, often I'll take my sketchbook and place it on the flat table, sort of like that, so that I'm filling in value on the hard surface of the table. Okay, so feel free to do that. With the video, it's kind of tough to prop that up, so if you find that you're getting a lot of indentation, you can go ahead and do that. And you're probably going to find that this very first block that you do with your H pencil, you're actually going to need something to stop your pencil because you have to press much harder. And in order to get even coverage with no texture, you're going to have to actually build up your layers and do a better job at keeping your strokes, your pencil strokes, even. Like, you don't want that overlap. You don't want areas that actually appear to be darker than other areas. You want the smoothest coverage you can get. And with an H pencil, it's going to be just a little bit more difficult, you're going to realize. All right, I'm even going to take my scrap paper and flip it over to this side. Sometimes I hold it kind of like this, and that way I have something to stop my pencil from going over the edges. Again, I'm still trying to work on getting nice even coverage, and a lot of times with an with an H pencil, I have to actually kind of go the opposite direction, in which case I would even put the paper on the opposite side, on one of the long sides. Okay, so you can see how you can actually see the texture. Because the graphite is so hard, it's actually it's tougher to get an even coverage. But you can push as much as you want. You're never going to get this pencil to create a black value that's as dark as either your HB or your B. Okay, so you're going to continue this value chart the same way you did the previous two charts, getting lighter as you go toward white. I'll stop the video now and show you when it's finished. Okay, excuse me. So I've completed my 9-step value scale, the third one, using the 2H pencil this time. And you can see how much lighter and more textured the actual 2H value chart winds up being. So when you're finished with all three, label on your sketchbook value charts and then the date. For today, it is okay. You'll take a photo of this finished exercise and upload it to Google Classroom to the assignment labeled 9-step value charts. Good luck.